Hello, everyone. I am so delighted to have Heather Stewart back with us today. And we're going to explore what we were unavailable to explore last time because the clock went tick, tick, tick and rang us out of the ring. Heather, welcome. Thank you for returning and chatting with our audience again, being prepared to chat with the audience again.
Of course. Thank you. And I love chatting with you. So anytime, my friend.
Oh, I'm so glad. Heather, for those who've never met you before, could you please introduce yourself? Tell us what you do, where you are, and what lights you up.
Okay, so let's see. So I am located in Toronto, and we were just joking that it's hot and sunny and summer here now, and now you're going into winter. So
And I'm jealous.
and we flipped. And I am a real life coach, which means that I help people who feel, I help people who are overwhelmed and feeling a bit lost. And I call it real life coach because that is real life for a lot of people. And I want the solutions to help them fit it into their real life, not add extra stress to their lives. And that's what lights me up, really, is seeing people step into their awesomeness and not be stressed and harried and unhappy. And I just feel like when everyone finds their way to their own version of happiness, the world will just be a different place. Right?
Oh, that is so beautiful. It's so interesting. My husband was talking with somebody last night, and he asked them, what is joy? And they were unable to express what joy is. They hadn't thought about it. They were unaware of identifying the feeling. And so much of what they were coming up with was what they thought he wished to hear rather than what they actually feel. What has your experience been around this with people, helping people, as you so rightly say, they have no desire to add another thing to their plate?
Right. Yes. We all have a lot of things that we think we have to do. And part of knowing what's yours is taking some time to think about that and not feeling like you have to do everything. A lot of our stress is external things that we've decided to take on for ourselves, which we don't have to do. And what I've found a lot when I'm talking to people is they haven't thought about what joy was or what they enjoy or what makes them happy. They're doing what they think they're supposed to be doing. I call it, that external measure of success. I've talked to people of all ages who think, your success is the career, the house, the dog, the kids, the car, and they get there and they think, well, I'm not happy. So is that normal? Is this what it's supposed to be? Someone said to me one day, is this the rest of my life? Is this all there is? And it is an external measure. And joy, I think part of the problem people have is it comes from inside. And they're looking outside instead of inside. And I've known people in my past who were actually afraid to look inside because they were afraid what they were going to see. Right.
And
but if we recognize, but if you recognize that there may be layers of you that you don't like, but at the core of you were these awesome beings that have, come to Earth School to experience Earth School.
Love that, Earth School. Sorry, my phone was buzzing there. I forgot to put it on. Yes, Earth School is such a beautiful and apt term.
Right. And it is true. One of the biggest fears people have is of dying. But what if you weren't, what if it wasn't bad? What?
Yeah. Well, you've had experience with that. Would you like to share a bit with the audience?
Oh, do you mean my stroke?
I mean, you're playing with your cardiovascular system. Yes.
Yes.
Profession calls a stroke.
Yes.
With the free flow of your joy.
Yes. The the medical system gave it a name, and I said, no, 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 that's not possible. Yeah. So, and it's interesting because I never felt at any point um, like it was my time to be leaving the
Mhm.
planet. I actually felt like it was a, a, a very strong kick in the pants to pay
Yes.
attention. And I said, okay. And so to give a brief synopsis. So yes, one evening, it happened to be October the 29th. I had double vision, and because of my background, I said, well, I'm not weak, I'm not slurring, there's no loss of sensations. I think I'm fine. I think I'm just tired. And I went to bed. And I got up in the next morning and it was still there. So I phoned, we have a program here where you can phone a nurse and tell her what's going on, and she'll tell you what to do, whether you need to go to the hospital. So she said, go to the hospital. I said, okay. And I didn't know where the hospital was, which tells you
Oh,
how
I
often
love it. I love it. Yes.
so she gave me directions to the hospital. So I went to the hospital, and it was 9:30 on a Saturday morning. And I just said, oh, I have double vision. And because I was completely cogent, they said, okay, go sit in that chair and we'll come and get you. So that was the outer waiting room. So at about 3 hours later, I went to the inner waiting room of the emergency room. And of course, it's during the time of COVID. So it was
Mhm.
quite busy, and there was
Mhm.
lots of protocols going on.
Mhm.
And the emergency room was under construction. So I was
Oh my
sitting in a
word.
chair. I was sitting in a chair waiting. And about 4:30, they sent me to the ophthalmologist to see, and she thought I had had um, an ocular migraine. And
Mhm.
she said, oh, you're fine. You just had an ocular migraine. And they took me to get a CT scan because it's just part of their protocol. And
Mhm.
at around 10 o'clock at night, they said, is there anybody you can call? So
Oh my word.
I'd been there 12 hours. And my husband actually just happened to be coming to bring me a cup of tea because I'd been sitting there all day, and I'm like, I'm starving, I'm thirsty, just bring me a biscuit or something. And so they admitted me. And it's very disorienting because I thought, what happens? Like, do I need pajamas? Do I need a toothbrush? I just had no concept of how to be in the hospital. But the reason that this was the biggest interesting part of this experience was because the hospitals were quite busy at that time. There were no beds in the ward. So I spent 3 days in the emergency room on a cot. They did find me a cot
On a
to lie
gurney,
on.
yeah, you must.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
on a gurney behind a curtain. And because of the double vision had cleared, but I couldn't wear my glasses. They made me nauseous. And so I couldn't escape. We use our phones to escape so regularly now. I couldn't escape. I couldn't have visitors. I couldn't really do anything except lay there hooked to a machine. And the only people that I really saw was every 3 or 4 hours, the nurse would come in to make sure I was still there.
Mhm.
And so it was my 3 day silent retreat. And listening to life outside and what was going on, hearing families arguing, and I could tell they were very stressed
Mm.
and, unsure of what was going on and health. And then there was people who were challenged because it was Halloween. So they were in
Mhm.
various states of different cognitive levels when they came in.
Oh, wow.
Yes. There was a big angry man yelling. There was a woman who'd had too much tequila doing what those girls do. And it was just so fascinating to watch life and realize these were all people who needed help.
Yeah.
And um, and I'm lying in this bed and I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna go and help more people. That was the thought in my head. I need to help more people because up to that point, I was only doing business coaching, really. I mean, it always morphed into life coaching, but my idea was business coaching. And I was lying there thinking, no, the world
Mhm.
needs needs something different. So that's when my podcast came back to me. The name came to me as I was lying there. Back to me. Yes, that's what it's going to be. And I developed a program, and now that program that was originally called Back to Me is now The Thriving Life. Because when people thrive, even if they find themselves in those situations, they'll be okay.
Yes.
Like I was lying there, and because I had done lots of work, I was okay, even though it wasn't the idea. I wouldn't have chosen that situation,
Mm-hmm.
but it gave me that time to sit there and go, okay, well, they've told me this is what's going on, but I'm okay. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm healthy. All of my pieces are in place to support me, and I'm okay. I didn't even realize some of the pieces that I had in place, because one of the things I talk about is community.
Mm-hmm.
And my friends knew that I couldn't read text messages, so they started sending me audio messages
Oh,
to like wish me well. They started sending me, they knew I couldn't see the videos, but they were sending videos of their kids playing so I could hear
oh,
what was going on.
shame.
Yeah, it actually made me really emotional because I didn't
I'm
realize I
sure.
built that kind of community, that as soon as they found out I was in the hospital, messages started coming in.
Oh, that is such a blessing. Yes, we were actually talking before we started the podcast how life gets your attention. I don't get
Yeah.
sick, and when I wound up having a fever out of the blue, I went, okay, I have absolutely every intention of paying attention at the moment.
Yes. And when I spent 14 years as a massage therapist, and people would come to me in pain and say, well, why did this happen? I said, well, um, you could have had smaller things trying to
Mhm,
get your attention, which you were ignoring. So it had to
mhm.
turn up the volume louder and
Yes,
louder and louder until it was loud enough that you would listen.
yeah.
Right. So I always think, well, I guess I must have, as much as you and I work on paying attention, there was something I wasn't paying attention to.
Or, you know, what's coming forward is you were meant to see these people so that you could divert your attention, or not divert, that's the incorrect word,
Mm,
refocus your
yeah,
intention into what you're doing now. So are you still working with the Become program, or has it
I
more?
am. Oh
Would you like
no,
to
it's
share a bit
getting
about
bigger.
that?
Yes, become. So become is nested inside the thriving life, but it's also started, it's interesting you ask, it's also started to take a life of its own outside of the thriving life. So become is what I was talking about, when you're in that place where you're okay, even if something happens. So I look at six, I always say you can't split yourself into bits, but you can, to help you understand, look at your life in different components. So become is an acronym for your body, so your physical health, your
Mhm.
emotions, your emotional health, your community, your connections, your relationships, your, see if I can spell, your occupation.
Love.
And it doesn't have to be your job, right?
Yeah.
I have a retired client, she calls it her beloved vocation. uh,
Oh,
your money, which is your financial health, and then your engagement, which is, speaks to spirit and purpose and passion. And when I talk to some clients and I ask them what, like you said, ask them what makes them happy. Like I don't ask them to define joy, but that some of them don't even know what makes them happy anymore.
true.
They've spent so much time doing the supposed tos that they can't remember, which I find so sad in so many ways.
Yeah, that is so interesting. I was reading a book sometime this week, last week maybe. I read a lot. And they were saying, go and look at what architecture you enjoy, what books you enjoy. Go and look at what clothes you would like to wear if money was no object. What catches your attention? And it was so interesting because, like you say, I ask people to please stop telling me what they dislike and what do they like. And they are unable to do that. It's like,
Yes.
oh, I lost myself somewhere in life. So your Become program is so, so important. When you look at your B.E.C.O.M.E program and the program that has evolved from your first one, what do you feel is the essence of what people are looking for that they're unaware of?
Yeah, I think it speaks to what you were just saying. They know, I think there's this piece of them that knows that they've lost their way. Like, it's almost like you have to take them back to when they were little kids. They know that at one point in their life, they weren't stressed, they were happy, they laughed freely, they had fun, they weren't worried all the time, but they can't remember. Maybe they think they imagined it, maybe they think it wasn't real, but they've spent so long entrenched in this other way of being, they can't remember. And so it's almost like I'm taking them back to that time. Sometimes they can remember before kids, like sometimes it's before they had all this responsibility, but some people it has to go way back.
Yeah.
And it's like I mean, we all have that little spark inside of us that's here in Earth School that knows that there's no stress, that knows only love and joy. And they know that it's there, but they don't know that it's there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So they have a sense that there's something they can't find.
I call it a yearning.
Yeah.
One of the things I say is, do you have a yearning within you? Because that's what I help people with. That's what it's that yearning. And they're unaware of what the yearning is. What was your biggest yearning when you were lying on that cot in the emergency care room?
My biggest yearning, it was to be at home.
Yes.
Right.
What did home represent for you at that time?
Oh my gosh. Comfort, love, safety, you know, because when you're in your home, environment is an important part of your life. You are surrounded by the things that bring you joy. I mean, not to quote Marie Kondo, but I have all windows and light that look over beautiful trees, and I don't know if you can hear the birds singing, and plants, and all the things that make you feel safe. And then my partner is here, and love comes from the inside, but I love him so. And he loves me.
It's a support.
It is.
It's a support. Yes, I see that. Yeah.
So when you're in the hospital, you might not be comfortable. I paying attention. I knew that I would be fine. And I don't remember if when we talked last time, I am actually completely healed. My neurologist said he couldn't even really see where the problem was. So
beautiful.
But
you did quite a bit of visualization around that.
I did a lot. Yes. Every day, every single day, which a lot of people will say, I can't meditate. Well, yes, you can. You just don't want to try.
Oh, yes. Thank you for putting it out there. I really appreciate you saying that.
Exactly.
I had a coach she's a wonderful, wonderful lady, and I channeled for her that she is to sit in stillness for an hour a day, an hour a week, not even a day, and start 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, and over 3 months build up to an hour a day and a week. She said to me, I'm not doing that. I cannot sit still for that long. And I subsequently found out she got a lot of things happened in her life that would have been benefited from the muscles of attention that get built while you're learning to meditate. And for me, it was fascinating. So I do know when my guide said to me the other day, what about your meditation? I said, what about it? I meditate every day. What? And then I heard, okay, we're going back to an hour a day rather than a minute a day, 10 minutes to 20 minutes a day. Okay, so now we're up to that hour a day again, but it's building that muscle. How do you help your clients build that muscle?
I ease them into it, let's say. So when I'm starting, often it's me sitting with them and just I don't tell them we're going to meditate. I just ask them to imagine, for a small piece of time. And because I also teach Tai Chi and yoga, which are for people who have that difficulty in the beginning, sitting still, incorporating a little bit of movement. And it's interesting you're asking, because I just on Friday was walking through a park and I thought I would like to do live again, because I've been doing a lot of virtual. And the thing that came to me was movement, meditation, and mindful creation.
Yes. And I would add mantras to that, mantras.
Mantras, yeah, and that helps people focus the mind. I used to use mantras a lot. Now I just sit. And it's funny that you see, because I just started recently. I used to do 20, then 30. Now I'm up to 45, because I'm thinking, because my meditation felt like, what? It's over. I'm not done.
Yes, yeah. I will, in my defense, I will say it was April that I did my last hour. March, yeah, just before the end of May. So it was the whole of May. I went back to 20 minutes and I was reminded this weekend, excuse you.
And I mean, there are days where I'm like, something's happened and I don't have that luxury, but I still fit in as much time as I can, because I do it first thing in the morning, right after I get out of bed, because if I don't, I'm not in the state I want to be in for my day, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. It's a preparation. I find the same. And I normally wake up and I do my chakra balancing and then I do my meditation. And the reason it went to 20 minutes was because I now wanted to get up and journal on what I'd been meditating on. So I've clearly heard that's great. You still get to do the hour. And I agree with you. It's when there are days when it just isn't available, that it's to release the guilt around it and to move forward.
Yeah, don't beat yourself up because you think you need to be some kind of perfect. And I'll have people say, well, I can't empty my mind. Well, you actually can't. It's actually impossible. So
thank you for sharing that. So many people go, I can't stop thinking. I didn't ask you to stop thinking. I'm asking you to think by design now.
Yeah, exactly. Think with intention.
Yes, think with intention, or just be unavailable. I love, somebody said to me the other day, pretend you're the mountain and the clouds are wafting by, and the thoughts are the clouds and you the mountain. And I went, I love that, because I often use clouds as the analogy. How do you find your clients respond, and what are the results they receive?
It depends, as you know, on the person. Yes. Some people struggle and they like kind of wrestle the whole time. And some people are just like, oh my gosh, that was so great. And now I find it's calming for most people, spending that time quietly. You're already calm when you go into your day. You're already centered. So you're not jumping out of bed with the alarm. Like I don't use an alarm clock anymore. I haven't used one for a long time because I don't want that jarring of my system first thing in the morning. But it's like that, taking that time to not be already that frantic energy and finding some space to breathe helps them be more present in their day, less reactive, because there's a lot of people right now who I just see it out in the world, honking and yelling. I'm like, but they're just trying to get where they're going, or they looked down for 2 seconds and didn't see the light turn green and you're already angry. Like, the fuses have gotten shorter and shorter. So one analogy is meditation lets you lengthen your fuse.
I love it. That's a beautiful way of putting it. What a lovely
Right.
analogy. I'm also seeing that there is a tremendous collective unconsciousness of anxiety, of fear, and of constriction. Have you been experiencing that at all?
Yes, yes, which is why I probably upped my meditation, because and I live in Toronto, which has a couple million people, which is a
Wow.
big, which is a huge for in relation to some places, but it's a lot of density of humans
Mm.
who I don't listen to the media, because I've found that a lot of news these days is not news. It's sensational and inflammatory and
It's low
reactionary.
vibrational.
Yes. So people read it and get themselves worried and upset, and this uncertainty of everything, the environment, the stock market, the prices, so they read it and they absorb that and they get themselves all stirred up. And so when I'm in the summer, I go out of the city into nature and I guide kayak trips in northern Ontario. There's nobody around, just me and 10 ladies. But when I drive down back, I'm driving south
Feel it.
into the city, I can feel it. I'm like, oh,
Mm. Yes.
so I have to make sure that I do all the things I can do so I don't get caught in it. I mean, some days I still find myself, when I yell in traffic, I go, well,
Where did that come from? Whose is this? Where did it go?
who's that?
Yes. And as my audience knows, I always say, return to center with love and consciousness attached.
Yes.
Because even if it's mine, at least I'll have the love and the consciousness coming back to me.
Right.
And if
Yes.
that person doesn't wish to have the love and consciousness, it's multiplied back to me. But I really do understand what you are saying, because I moved from a very large conglomeration of cities to a place where I think there are not very many people here where I live, and the energy difference is extreme.
Yes.
Excuse me, there's so much, Heather, that I could talk to you about. If you could help your clients with one thing, what would that be?
I don't know if I mentioned this last time. I have 2 rules in life.
No, you
Did I
didn't.
mention this? Oh,
No.
I have 2 rules, and I started using them in my movement classes, but now I apply them to all of life. The first rule is you must breathe.
Ah,
The second rule is don't cause yourself any pain.
avoid
So,
pain. Yeah.
so if, and pain can be anything, but,
Mm.
and it's not like you shouldn't, things might be uncomfortable and things might happen that are uncomfortable, but don't cause yourself, like, don't put yourself into um, things that are that you don't need to. So, I mean, when I'm teaching movement classes, it's like, if I suggest you put your leg behind your head and it's going to injure you, don't do it. I mean, I
Exactly,
would never do that.
exactly.
But for life, it's like, if you know that that person isn't good for you,
Mm-hmm.
don't be in that relationship. If you
Mm-hmm.
know that doing um, some kind of financial transaction would be
Yes.
detrimental to you, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you know that eating entire pizza would not be good for you, don't do it. So I'm thinking of all the categories of B.E.C.O.M.E, but any of
Yes.
those things, like, deep down, something that I say is, deep down that you are an amazing being of light, and self-love is important. And if you loved yourself, you would treat yourself that way.
Yes.
Right.
Wow, that is powerful. How does my son do it? Wow. I don't know how he does it. I'm fascinated. But it's like
Get him
almost,
to teach you.
oh no, he feels his mother. We're not going down that pathway. We're going
Okay.
because of
Okay.
the It was, you talk about that. I learned a very valuable lesson from my son when he was teaching me social media, and I realized how impatient I was when they were children and how unnecessarily impatient I was. And the one day I turned around to him and I said, I believe I am reaping what I sowed. The difference is you are now sowing. Would you like to reap it again? He was very unimpressed with me.
Thanks, Mom.
How do you know that's what he said?
That's what I'd say to my mom.
Yes, I must say I have wonderful children. I am so blessed that they survived their mother and they're thriving. And I will say, my son actually said to me the one day a while ago, you know, at the time it was extremely unpleasant and it has helped me with so many things in life. And I went, okay. And it's about attitude. How do you feel about attitude?
Attitude. The thing that just popped into my head was attitude of gratitude.
Yes.
So your attitude will inform how you experience the world,
Yes.
right?
Beautiful.
So if I walk around thinking people are awful and mean, and that's how I will perceive the world. If I walk around, and this is what I have, a gratitude practice. That's something people should just try every day. I've been watching Greg Braden. I don't know if you know Greg
I
Braden.
love Greg Braden's work. Yes.
Right? Oh my gosh, I've been binge watching him.
We could talk another hour just on Greg Braden.
So I have been doing the heart vibration alignment work, and it makes such a difference because when you recognize how beautiful everything is and how beautiful people are, even if they're not people you want to interact with, even if they're the fringes of what we would think of as society, they're beautiful. Yes. And walk around with that gratitude, I feel energetically lighter in the world.
Yes.
And I like to think that that energy is sent out and perceived and will affect other people. So if I can walk around lighter, sending out my positive vibes, then that's going to help.
That is actually karmic energy. And that's what I work with my clients, because karma just means action. And you are literally creating a karma for others that walk past and for yourself of gratitude and expansion rather than constriction. And I've seen it so many times. Maybe you might have had this experience. You'll be feeling heavy and you'll just walk through a certain place and all of a sudden you feel light. And that's because somebody like yourself has walked through there expressing gratitude, expressing joy, or experiencing a feeling of love. And you tap into that vibrational frequency and consciousness rather than the one of worry and fear. So that is such a beautiful and incredible creation. Thank you, Heather. We appreciate you. I'm sure you must have done it when you taught yoga, where you breathe in love and for yourself, and then you breathe out universal love for all in the area. I know I use that when I do meditation classes or whatever.
I've even in Tai Chi done, where you hold a ball of energy.
Yes.
And we hold the planet.
Yes.
And so I'm like, let's just do the whole planet. There's no limits, right?
Exactly. Oh, Heather, our time has sort of like ended for this podcast. People, please go and find Heather. Please, I will put your details in the show notes. Please tell them where the best place is to connect with you.
The best place to find me is prosperityflowcoaching.com or, Instagram, Heather Stewart Coaching.
Yes, I can highly recommend that.
Now that you know how to use it.
Yes. Oh, I love Instagram. It's one of my, and if those of you go and find me on Instagram, you will see I talk a lot about gratitude because I know how it has brought joy to my life and has shifted my energy and my entire world. Gratitude and appreciation. People, Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. And Heather, again, deep, deep appreciation for you, your wisdom, and all that you are doing to raise consciousness and to help people become the beautiful people that they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.